on this kind of situation. So Jim Greer, who's also an AT&T spokesperson, said that AT&T was required by law to provide information to government and law enforcement entities by complying with court orders, subpoena, lawful discovery requests, and other legal requirements. So what he's saying here is pretty much we have to legally abide by this because we want to be a good lawful company that complies with the government at every possible request, is pretty much what it's saying. But he did add when a company provides voluntary assistance, that the company does provide voluntary assistance to law enforcement when a person's life is in danger and in other immediate emergency situations. In all cases, though, he says, we require that requests for assistance are valid. We ensure, that requests for assistance are valid and that we act in compliance with the law. So pretty much what he's saying is he's leaving that very interesting loophole there, right? So he's pretty much saying we will provide voluntary assistance. So when a person's life is in danger, you could make that and we've seen people do it before, make it a very, very broad scope, a possibility of who could be possibly in danger, who could be the person who's being threatened in this particular situation here. So Dave Schaefer, CEO of Cogent Communications, told The Intercept that he had no knowledge of the surveillance at the AT&T buildings, but he said he believed that the core premise of the NSA or some other agency would be. He said the core premise at the NSA or some other agency would be to look at traffic at an AT&T facility. So he also said that he suspected that the surveillance is likely carried out on a limited basis. By the way, Cogent Communications is one of the people who use these AT&T software groups. They work in association with AT&T. They peer, quote unquote, with AT&T to kind of like funnel your data through these 8 made and then say tapped buildings. So yeah, they could possibly conceivably get data from outside other countries here, which is very interesting and actually quite disturbing. But yeah, so Dave Schaefer, who's the CEO of one of these peering companies, Cogent Communications, and yeah, so these Cogent Communications is American telecom company. So again, evidenced by the name Dave Schaefer. So he told The Intercept that he had no knowledge of the surveillance at 8 of these AT&T buildings, but said that, again, he believed would be the core premise that the NSA or some other agency would like to look at the traffic at an AT&T facility would be limited. He says it doesn't happen, it never happens. And he said if the NSA were trying to ubiquitously monitor data passed through AT&T's networks, Schaefer added he would be extremely concerned. And the report suggests that this is what they're doing, and they're monitoring through these specific situations. They are actually going through these. They're going through these situations and very carefully picking out your data. So that's pretty much what they're doing. So, you should be extremely concerned, is pretty much what the point is there. So, Sprint, Telia, Tata Communications, Telecom Italia, and Deutsche Telekom did not respond to any of the requests for comment done by The Intercept. CenturyLink, which owns Level 3, which is another one of these American peering services, said it would not discuss matters of national security. And that's the easy thing. They can hide behind this kind of national security backbone here, because it's like, national security, and it's been something for the longest time period where people say, okay, it's national security, I don't want to ask any kind of questions here in this specific situation. And that's always a very dangerous thing to step into, because who knows what they could fit into the national security definition. It's something that, in my opinion, always worth taking a second glance into, because we just, who knows? Again, that's the thing. Who knows? So, yeah. Some of the surveillance hubs, Detroit, Washington, all these places are used that have been obtained via documents. And pretty much the way The Intercept found this out is just so we can go into some more detail here. The way The Intercept was able to find this out was these 8 locations. They obtained these maps, and they were able to identify the internet surveillance that way. They got them through sources inside the NSA and AT&T here, and they kind of routed throughout the series of 4 documents It shows you with keys and arrows and everything else like that, which data was peered through which specific router, etc. So yeah, peering, we talked about a little bit more before. Just a quick review here. Peering is done so that the internet won't just go crazy. It offers some of the data you are using the internet for to other third-party routers. So not necessarily the company that you have signed up to get internet from. Anyway, we're going to continue on. Just wanted to do that quick review for some of you who possibly may have been confused about the complex internet telecom vocab here that we're going to. Yeah, because it can be a little bit strange. Anyway, so yeah, the 8 locations are featured on a top secret NSA map. These locations of these 8 spy hubs that are used to pretty much used to mine through all this incredibly high amounts of data here. So, the 8 locations are featured on this spy map, which pretty much depicts U.S. facilities the agency relies on for one of its largest surveillance programs, codenamed Fairview. Fairview is the NSA surveillance program that collects, again, the communication from the AT&T networks. Fairview sounds a little spy-like. Fairview is the name of the operation, this program here that they use here. And so AT&T is the only company involved in Fairview, which was first established in 1985. According to NSA documents, it involves tapping into international telecommunications cables, routers, and switches here. So they're doing this internationally, according to NSA documents. This is confirmed here. In 2003, the NSA launched a new surveillance new internet mass surveillance methods, which were pioneered under the Fairview program. The methods were used by the agency to collect, within a few months, some 400 billion records about people's internet communications and activity. New York Times has previously reported. So, just in a few months, 400 billion records about people's activities, and 1 million emails every day was heading to the NSA's Fort Meade headquarters based on a keyword selection system. So yeah, the Fort Meade headquarters were getting more than 1 million emails every day. So yeah, essential to the internet spying are 8 peer link router complex sites, which are pinpointed on the top secret NSA map. The locations of these sites mirror maps of AT&T's networks obtained by the intercept from public records that show backbone node with peering facilities at Atlanta. Again, these cities are going to sound familiar: Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Los Angeles, New York City, San Francisco, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. So one of these AT&T maps contains unique codes individually identifying the addresses of the facilities in each of these cities. So the facilities in each of these cities. Among the pinpointed buildings, there is a nuclear blast-resistant windowless facility in New York City's Hell's Kitchen neighborhood. In Washington, D.C., a fortress-like concrete structure less than half a mile south of the U.S. Capitol. In Chicago, an earthquake-resistant skyscraper in the West Loop Gate area. In Atlanta, a 429-foot Art Deco structure in the heart of the city's downtown district. And in Atlanta, in Dallas, a cube-like building with narrow windows and large vents on its exterior, located in the Old East District in the city of Dallas. Elsewhere on the west coast of the U.S., there are 3 more facilities in downtown Los Angeles: a striking concrete tower near the Walt Disney Concert Hall and Staples Center, 2 blocks from the most important internet exchange in the region. In Seattle, there's a 15-story building with blacked-out windows and reinforced concrete foundations near the city's waterfront. And in San Francisco's south of Market neighborhood, a building where it was previously claimed the NSA was monitoring internet traffic from a secure room on the 6th floor. The peering sites, otherwise known in AT&T parlance as service node routing complexes, or SNRCs, these are major AT&T internet hubs. So when you think of SNRCs, those are the big buildings, the big 8, as I think I'm going to call them. Just for now, just for our purposes here, we're just going to call them the big 8, which is like these are the 8 buildings across the country that, through AT&T systems and the AT&T internet network, they monitor the NSA. They monitor your internet traffic daily. Yeah, so by March 2009, the NSA's documents say it was tapping into peering circuits at 8 SNRCs, and the facility's purpose was to bolster the AT&T's network, improving its reliability and enabling future growth. They were developed under the leadership of this Iranian-American innovator and engineer named Hossein Eslambochi, who was formerly AT&T's chief technology officer and president of AT&T Labs, a division of the company that focuses on more research, development, and innovation and stuff like that. So, Eslambochi told the Intercept, that the project set up to create, the project set up the facilities. Project to set up the facilities, began after AT&T asked him to help create, quote, the largest internet protocol network in the world. He obliged and began implementing his network design by placing large Cisco routers inside former AT&T phone switching facilities across the U.S. When planning the project, he divided AT&T's network into different regions, and in every quadrant, I will have, he says, what I will call an SNRC. So pretty much places, again, where you can monitor the internet. And the big 8 ones, as we know, are around the country in Dallas, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., New York, L.A., Chicago, Seattle. I think I'm probably missing a few there. But yeah, he says it puts a face on surveillance that we could never think of before in terms of actual facilities in our own backyard. And I think he really rightly says that here. That's a quote from someone who is on the scene. So during his employment at AT&T, Eslambochi said that he would have to take a polygraph test and obtain he obtained a government security clearance. He said, I was involved in very, very top-heavy duty projects for a few of these 3-letter agencies. So yeah, he's like, I'm getting in big. He's getting in big with these 3-letter agencies. It's going pretty good for him. He's really liking what he's seeing, and he said, and he and the intelligence agencies apparently liked it back. He said, they all love me. That's pretty shocking. Yeah, it's. Wow. Yeah, so it's like this guy's he's literally doing almost everything they ask. So it does make sense. So he's coming in from a poorer country, like less established, Iran, and he's able to make this huge network of SNRCs, these big the big 8, as I said, we're gonna be calling them, to route off and track millions and millions and millions of Americans' data browsing history. And I gotta be honest, it's very, very disturbing stuff. He said he could not confirm or deny the exact locations of these 8 peering sites identified by the Intercept, and he couldn't discuss it. His mouth was closed. He said, quote, you put a gun to my head, and I'm not going to tell you. Other former AT&T employees, the Intercept says, however, were more forthcoming. So here's a quote from some of them. So they say, and this is a former AT&T, so here's another, there's like 3 or 4 of these guys here. So this member of the AT&T technical staff here, he spoke on the condition of anonymity, and he said 100% they are these, he confirmed certainty of the locations of 6 of the 8 peering facilities identified by the Intercept report. So he cited direct knowledge of the facilities and their function. He verified the addresses of the buildings in Atlanta, Dallas, LA, New York, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. So, yeah, and then we had a second AT&T employee confirming the locations of the remaining 2 sites in Chicago and San Francisco. He said, I worked with all of them. And the second employee was by the name of Philip Long. So pretty much 2 of these members, one a former AT&T employee and another a senior member of AT&T's technical staff, they have both 100% confirmed the existence of these facilities. They have said, yes, they exist, they're there, and they are doing exactly what you guys think they're doing to the Intercept's reporting. Yeah. So yeah, Philip Long says he worked with all of them. He was employed by AT&T for more than 2 decades as a technician servicing its networks. Long's work with AT&T was carried out mostly in California, so there's one in Los Angeles. That's the peer routing. That's one of the data the NSA's data hubs is in Los Angeles. That's the California data hub, and there's also one in San Francisco.